Hi, I'm Ming. Now let's move to our front yard and conquer another scene, night. At night, Gigas spawn at every lane, so our strategies will be a lot different. So typically in pool and fog cobless, we rely on the Gloomshroom's sideway AoE damage. As a result, we will have a wedge-shaped structure, and the tip of our wedge is the pool, which is easy to defend. If we simply move this to night, where the Gigas appear on every lane, we will have to think of a way to defend our wedge tip. So the best way possible is to use cannon fodders and instants to kill and slow down the zombies in the center, so that the center lane basically acts as a pool, and we will have this as our wedge tip, the starting point, and build our structure from that. And how about zombies? Fortunately, the zombies don't appear at night because Ice Chill's conflict with the grave, so we don't have to worry about the zombies. And using this setup, using this idea, we can build a setup, just move this to the night scene. However, because we will need instants in center to defend our wedge tip, but in Rear Cobless we also use instants on the side, so that's gonna be problematic because we don't have enough instants. And the DPS level of this structure, I'll call this the spear structure, is 2, 3, 1, 3, 2. You can see it's not evenly distributed, and ideally we want an instant that is able to cover row 1, row 3, and row 5. However, this doesn't exist. So to redistribute our firepower, we add 2 glooms on row 2 and 4, so that we concentrate all the pressure on the center 3 lanes, which can be dealt with the cherry bomb, because the cherry bomb can bomb the 3 consecutive rows. And this frees up the pressure from the side, so we can just permanently keep the buffer fumes we added before in Rear Cobless. So what's the DPS level of this structure? I would say on the side it's 3 approximately, and on row 2 and 4 it's less than 3. I would say it's 3 minus, but if we use ice and cannon fodders properly, it will also become 3. And on the center it's 2 minus. And in order to complete that minus, we're going to add more winter melons, because in 5 row scenes, every lane has a lot of zombies, so the winter melons, its splash damage can be fully utilized. And also, this wedge shape allows the winter melons to slow down the zombies in the adjacent rows. For example, winter melons can slow down the zombies in the very front, obviously, but without the winter melons splash damage, these zombies won't be slowed down. But because the winter melons in the center, they can splash damage these zombies, and same for here. So every zombie here demonstrated will be typically slowed down by the winter melon. So that is the power of the group winter melon. And we will call this the Group-Gloom Structure, because you can see we have a lot of glooms in the front. And let's just modify other plants a little bit to make it have enough space, enough sun. So what we do is to adjust the back a little, and put a winter melon. And because we don't use jalapeno, we can ladder the whole thing. Where's my ladder? Yeah, so that is it, the NE Group-Gloom Cobless. And let's see how this is able to deal with our major and minor threats, mainly Giga, Football, and Jack, because these are the most threatening zombies. So for Gigas, as I said before, the DPS levels are 3 minus, 3 minus, 2 minus, 3 minus, and 3 minus. So these minuses are typically fulfilled by cannon fodders and ice. So if you use ice and cannon fodders properly, they should reach 3. And so the Doom will bomb every Gigas once. And the Cherry, so because on row 2 and 4 we have less space, so we typically bomb Gigas twice. And if we only bomb them once, we can still freeze them or stall them, and they should also die. And in the center, we need to bomb the Gigas twice, preferably 3 times. So we typically use Squash, Cherry, and Doom, so that's 3 instants. And when we don't have instants, we just stall the Gigas together, and when their instants recharge, just kill them all together. And Footballs. So Footballs in the center, we have a pumpkin, that's okay. But on row 2 and 4, we don't put pumpkin because the Gigas are likely to smash the pumpkin early. However, if the footballs are slowed down, like if they are frozen here, if they are frozen on column 9, then they are like very likely to be killed before biting that gloom. If they're frozen in column 7, then they're guaranteed to die. With the proper use of instant ice and cannon fodders, footballs shouldn't be a big problem. And on the side, they may bite the fume, but that's okay because fumes are cheap to fix. And for jacks, on the side we have the double fume auto suppression as in radio clock, so that's okay. And in the center, we'll use ice and doom, so that's the same as rear cobless because we have that gloom in column 7, and the splash damage of the winter melon will equalize the fume on column 4 in rear cobless. And also, even if you don't use ice, it's still okay because the purpose of ice in the rear structure, I don't know, like these weird effects. The purpose of ice in the rear structure is to slow down the early jacks so that they will explode before reaching the gloom. And if we just are relying on the slowing effect of ice, winter melon will have a similar effect. So if the winter melons in the center are not blocked, then it will achieve a similar effect of slowing the jacks down. So like if we keep the center clear, then we don't need to use ice. The winter melon will automatically kill the jacks. So, and yeah, we can add an extra winter melon in the center because we don't need that so many winter melons. And what else? And we need another gloom here because like at the back, the digger, if we only have 2 glooms, the digger zombies are going to be problematic. Okay. And also other minor threats, balloon zombie, because cattail are banned in the front yard, so we have to use blubber that wastes some sun. Normal gargantors, just stall them together with gigas. They should die first. And digger zombies on row 1 and 5. They're also very threatening, but just keep an eye on them. And MJ, they may block the winter melons. So like, because they move very fast, they will block the winter melon shots for jacks. So just simply stall them on column 9 when we want the auto jack suppression. But if you use ice, then there's no problem. And yeah, for slow tempo, the tempo is typically card 3 or card 4. So we begin with doom, ice. And then like when we see the ice is about halfway recharging, we can use cherry. And if ice has not yet recharged halfway, but a new wave just spawns, we're going to use cherry to just directly bomb the next wave, and then use ice. So the tempo will be around card 3 and card 4. Maybe this description is not clear enough, but like you will get the idea in the real gameplay later. So for example, if we choose to play card 3, then we stick to that sequence. So card 3, I'll write it more clearly. It's doom, ice, and then ice then cherry to activate a new wave, and then ice again. And card 4, we use doom, ice, and use the cherry against the new wave, and ice. So we want to stick to a sequence. So if we choose to play card 3, it's better to stick to card 3 for the whole first half. Otherwise, like if your sequence gets messed up, it's difficult to arrange like the instants. And for center, we're just going to use squash and cannon fodder. Okay, now I'm going to demonstrate the slow tempo of NE Group-Gloom Cobless. We bring double ice and 2 cannon fodders. I didn't bring the Grave Buster, and I'll explain the reasons. We can add an extra buffer fume and begin with doom and ice. So 1, 2, ice. That's the same timing as in rear cobless. Next wave, when the zombies are frozen, we can use the squash to squash the center. So because the tempo was relatively slow, every time we use ice, we can also use squash. And while we have nothing to do, we can just stall the center. And when you see the doom about halfway recharged, you can use cherry to activate a new wave. But now here is before I use cherry, so you can just use cherry to hit the current wave. So if the cherry bomb, like if you use cherry to activate the new wave, then you play the card 3 sequence. If you use cherry to bomb the new wave, you play the card 4 sequence. And just continue to stall the center. notice that the next wave doesn't immediately spawn. Ice. So you can also stall with blubber and ice whenever you use it, and don't stall with imitator ice. And for other rows, just see like where I can stall. So like when you have like spare cannon fodders, you can also stall the other rows a little bit. That Giga I will stall it. And then Doom plus ice again. 1, 2. Make sure you have good spots for the imitator ice. And then squash. This cannon fodder in the center. So that squash will typically squash the catapult zombies, which allows me to stall again. So these Gigas on row 2 and 4, if you bomb them once, they will typically die. Although in some rare cases, they may smash the gloom. So in that case, just stall them a little bit. And footballs will, yeah, you can see that football takes a tiny little bite, but usually that's okay. So they will inflict some tiny little damage on that gloom. But since we can fix the next wave spawn, I didn't see any MJ zombies coming out, so yeah, it doesn't spawn. I'm hesitant to use ice. Ice again, and stall somewhere possible. Oh, that squash almost gets bombed. Stall here. Pretty dangerous. There are no Gigas in the center, so I can use cannon fodders elsewhere. You can see these footballs, they die pretty readily. And last wave, use Doom. For card 4, I would prefer to use Doom in column 8. When you use Doom in column 8, make sure you can stall the Gigas on column 9. Otherwise, if the Gigas come close to that gloom, you don't have place to put cannon fodders. When you play card 3, I would prefer putting it on column 9. And then you can see the gargantors here at the back are not slowed down. So I will use ice. These Gigas are throwing their end, so I'm pretty sure I can put ice safely here. And then I'm going to use cherry bomb to further bomb the Gigas in the center. And meanwhile, I can use blubber to further stall the other zombies. That Giga should die. And cherry bomb. This Giga should also die because there's only one Giga in the center, and I have 3 winter melons hitting it. Just to play safe, I can stall it once. And on the side, there are actually no Gigas, so this is going to wrap up fairly quickly. Can add an extra buffer fume here again. Yeah, so this wraps up really quickly, but it's okay because we have this ice ready. Just make sure you have an ice to freeze the bungees. Maybe, yeah, freeze the bungees. And I use the squash to squash the center now. Because squash it recharges fast, so I can typically use 2 squashes per like rotation of instance. Because card 4, we typically need to wait for the next wave to spawn, so it's kind of like inefficient for the cards somehow. So typically for slow tempo, if you see both Giga, normal Gargantor, and Buckethead, you should try to play card 3. If you don't see any of them, try to card 4. And next wave we're gonna use Doom plus Ice. Meanwhile, just stall the center. And also because the tempo is slow, 3 craters would be enough for the Doom Shroom. Normally you would need 4. And just stall the row 2 and 4 because on wave 10 there are typically a lot of Gigas. So the winter melons may not be able to kill them all. So in that case, just stall. Because like the winter melons, they are not very stable against the Gigas and footballs. If there are a lot, then like they cannot totally kill them. Because winter melon is not. Oh, what happened? I think there's a cannon fire in the center. So next wave is cherry. After the Gigas disappear, the tempo is guaranteed to be card 4. So we'll just put cherry on column 9 to activate the new wave. The footballs may buy the fume, but since we bring the fume packet, it's absolutely fine. Stall. Also stall the side. So our priority is row 3, and then row 2 and 5. And if you see a huge number of footballs, also stall them. But that seems to be okay since they're eventually going to be bombed. And just stall the normal Gargantors. These remaining Gigas should die pretty quickly. And squash. The normal Gargantors are still worth squashing. And maybe we can add Pumpkin to the Glooms. But that's not a must. Because it's almost over. Ice. Sorry, that ice is late. But like for Knights, for this 5-row scenes, because we have so many Winter Melons in the center to slow the Jacks down, even if you time the ice late, that's okay. Stall again. And last wave, we're going to use Doomshroom. Is there a last wave? So I would prefer to use Doom on like here. And also I forgot to mention, in nighttime, the Doom on column 4 cannot reach the zombies on column 1. So like we can intentionally miss a lane of zombies so that we can to trade for more time for us to wrap things up. But like we still have to use Blubber against the balloon zombies, which is annoying. And at the wrap up, we are going to use cannon fodder to fill the front, because you know at night there will be like a random there will be graves appearing at random places. So you want to fill the unwanted spots with cannon fodders, and therefore we won't let the grave like grow in these unwanted places. But remember, don't fill everything. Don't fill everything, otherwise the grave will randomly kill a plant. And for the wrap up, I use Cherry on row 4. Use the bungees. Doom on row 1. I believe that is it. And just use, maybe when the squash recharges, just use it wherever convenient. So on row 1, I bombed the Giga with squash and Doom, so it's dead. It's bombed twice. On row 2, I've only bombed it with Doom, so just stall it once or twice, it should also die. And on row 3, I bombed with Doom and Cherry, and also stall it once or twice, they will also die. Row 4, I bombed them also with Doom and Cherry, they are guaranteed to die. And row 5, I've only bombed them with what? With Doom. Oh, sorry, with Cherry, so we need to stall them like 3 or 4 times, and they will die. Because in the wrap-up, there are usually the Wintermans are able to deal a lot of damage to the Gigas, because they are not blocked. So in the wrap-up, typically row 2 and 4 will be more powerful and more resistant against the Gigas. Yeah, but you can see here it's done pretty well, and our stun is readily increasing. And then fast tempo. For fast tempo, we typically have an automatic jack suppression in the center because of the Wintermelons. If we just leave the center clear, then the Wintermelons can like automatically slow the jacks down. For example, we block the MJ so that they won't block the Wintermelon shots, and therefore you can see the Wintermelon reacts so slowly. You can see the Wintermelons slow the jacks down, although they attack very slowly. The jacks are slowed down early, so like we've automatically suppressed the jacks without using ice. And that's the first wave. And we also want to put pumpkins on the gloom to prevent the football zombies from biting them. And then on the other lane we can stall them, but this should quickly die. And next wave we can use Doom. Oh, did I miss the sun? That's pretty bad. And block the MJ again. So when using Doom and Parry Bomb, when using Doom, I don't want to. I will use like on the row 2 and 1 and 4. That's just a habit. Like if you want to use like on row 2 and 3, that's okay. Because I want to keep like one row of zombie alive to like slow down the tempo a little bit, but it's not a must. Block the MJ. And I may fix this pumpkin first, and then that pumpkin. That fume, like if the football zombies are not slowed down, that fume is very likely to get killed. But if I lose a fume on row 5, I will fix it. But if on row 1, I would not, because the jacks are less likely to kill the fume on row 1 than they on row. Whoa, that's unfortunate. But we have Doom, so that's okay. And then Doom plus cannon fodder. Because jacks on row 5 is more likely to kill the glooms than they are on row 1 because of some weird game program. So like if I lose a fume on row 1, that's okay. Stall the footballs. Very bomb. Is that the wrap up? That's pretty quick. I can put pumpkin on the other gloom, so I don't need to stall the footballs anymore. That fume is likely to die, but it's the wrap up. Okay. And also that pumpkin. So just like keep an eye on the digger zombies. Like if you just focus our attention on fixing the pumpkins, the digger zombies shouldn't create any issues. But like if you just ignore pumpkins, then like they will be very dangerous. I'll prefer using Doom. That Doom actually missed that digger zombie. I probably put it too late. So like after we cleared up the center 3 lanes, we can use cannon fodder so that we can save some ice. So like if we block the MJ, like a perf should mon cost 0, so I don't need to use 75 stun on the ice. And next wave we have nothing to use, yet the center is not blocked, so I'm going to use ice. So typically the tempo will be card 5, so Doom, Puff, Cherry, Puff, and then Ice. So that's our typical temp sequence. And you can stall the center as much as possible. Stall the MJ again, so that is a pretty stable sequence. Card 5, Doom, Puff, Cherry, Puff, and Ice. And sometimes you may not need that ice. Cherry, Puff, fix the pumpkin. Is that the last wave? Whoa, it's quite scary. Fix that fume, although I'm pretty sure it will die right after. But I still want to kill the jacks as much as possible. Okay, that's the final wrap-up. And for a final wrap-up, just freeze the bungees and everything should be okay. And after the dancers die, we can also bust the grave. Hopefully it's not bombed by the jack, otherwise it's gonna be pretty bad. Okay, just wrap everything up. Our sun, it decreases by 400 or they're not. Did I start at 5,000? I forgot. Just blow away the balloons. And yeah, you can see it's pretty stable. Like even if sometimes the winter melons they don't slow down the jacks quick enough, it's still playable. Because the early jacks they're only 5% of the total jacks, so you shouldn't worry about them too much. And anyway, we bring the Gloom seed packets, so there shouldn't be any big problems.